A new day is dawning in Africa, one with unlimited opportunities for its 1.4 billion people. With a combined gross domestic product of up to $3.4 trillion, Africa poises as a formidable market for itself and others. It is becoming a food basket, the hub of agricultural production for the ever-growing global population.
Kwa sababu kilimo kina vitu viwili. Kuna kitu kinaitwa bumper harvest. Yani mmevuna sana au mmepoteza, yani mmevuna kidogo.
From the grounds to the shelves, amid pockets of challenges, the story of the African farmer is almost the same. It reflects consistency and resilience.
Kazi ya kilimo nimeanza 2004 wakati niko mdogo kidogo, lakini rasmi nimeanza 2018 baada ya kumaliza elimu yangu ya juu.
Innovation and use of the new technology is helping in shaping the future.
Hydroponic is kind of farming where you are farming without using soil. No soil at all, it's soilless. We are planting your seeds on the cocoa pit or the pit moss. After certain times, like 10 days, you are transporting them from where they are on the nursery to the secondary. So in the secondary is just pipes with water, but that water is with nutrients.
This, coupled with ideal policies for simplified trade for the farm produce, makes life to the African farmer even easier. But the journey is not void of challenges.
And for those who are in agribusiness, the governments also needed to really invest in the development of sanitary and phytosanitary standards. Much too often, Africans in the agribusiness do not find it easy to enter markets because their products do not meet minimum sanitary and phytosanitary standards. So there's a lot of room for improvement.
This is a story of quest for growth, the story of the African farmer. It is at the beginning of the agricultural production season here in central Malawi, and under the scorching sun of the day, farmers, mostly subsistent, are reminiscing effects of the previous season's prolonged dry spell. Crops withered and the output was ultimately affected. Harsh weather conditions characterized by a year of drought followed by another of beyond normal downpours destabilized farming over the years. But Ngawaila Chatata, a local agripreneur, defies the odds. Early this day, she inspects her irrigated horticulture farmland, gilded with optimism.
I am the founder and managing director for Tantry Farms. Tantry Farms is an innovative agribusiness that is specializing in integrated farming, but we've also expanded to agro-processing, greenhouse manufacturing, and business incubation.
In 2015, Ngawaila left an 8-year-old blossoming corporate career, tilting attention towards her passion, farming. Her focus has been on creating wealth for the country's smallholder farmers and job opportunities for the largely youthful population while contributing towards the national agenda of import substitution.
After resigning, I think we've seen the country growing, moving from the farming enterprise, expanding into processing, as I mentioned, also manufacturing of greenhouses to mitigate the impact of climate change, but also business incubation. This is our passion because we want to see more Malawians engaging in agribusiness. So we've been training the youth, we've been training smallholder farmers. As we talk, we have developed a network of over 5,400 farmers.
Tantry is beyond a farmland. It has fast become a hub of agri-processing and value addition for export market.
So our focus is on high-value crops. That's the starting point. And the high-value crops that we're focusing on specifically are hibiscus, ginger, chilies. So in terms of the products that we're getting from hibiscus, we are processing herbal teas, what we also call herbal infusion, because tea is tea. But we had to call it tea at first so that people can connect on the usage. But now we are focusing on infusions. So hibiscus infusion, ginger infusion, we also do some brands like Montia. And then on the other side, we are also making products like the greenhouse. So when you go in ShopRite, you find our hibiscus tea on the shelf. We are also making juice, we are making jam from the same, and we are making spice powders like ginger powder, turmeric, mint. Yeah, so we promote healthy eating. So we want to, Malawians or Africans to have access to 100% herbs, not blending with other things. So when you say it's hibiscus, it's hibiscus. When you say ginger, it has to be 100% ginger. That's our motto, so that people can have access to nutritious foods. The demand has been growing, and we have been expanding even our production based on the demand. So whereas initially we were just in a few supermarkets, and we're also relying on individual customers, our network of distributors has expanded. Like we are now in big supermarkets like ShopRite, Chipiku, Food Lovers, Ekaya. So, and even the sales that we are seeing, we've observed that they've been growing by the day. Yeah, that means even for our farmers, their market is also increasing. And then we are also looking at the international market because we are export oriented.
Most African economies remain agrarian. And data from the World Bank show that the agricultural economy employs 65 to 70% of Africa's labor force and accounts for 30 to 40% of the GDP. In Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, Mwami Mlangwa has been a hydroponic farmer for the past 8 years. She is geared for the day's busy schedules, inspecting her latest greenhouse. The vegetables are much sought after in most parts of Africa as they add nutritious value on the dinner tables. Mwami grows the export value vegetables using a water-based nutrient solution rather than the traditional soil.
Hydroponic is kind of farming where you are farming without using soil. No soil at all, it's soilless. We are planting your seeds on the cocoa pit or the pit moss. After certain times, like 10 days, you are transporting them from where they are on the nursery to the secondary. So in the secondary is just pipes with water, but that water is with nutrients. The plant is growing because of the nutrients which is inside the water. So the plants are staying in the greenhouse. From the day you're putting the seedlings until you're taking the plant to the market is like 30 days max. So it's a kind of farming which is having very short time in the production, and the outcome is so big because we are producing them in the greenhouse. So there is no any disease, there is not contaminated. So the plants are nice and clean, and you know, they're going to the market every day.
Access to the much sought for stable and sustainable market has, however, been a challenge. This is a common narrative among African small-scale and medium producers. But Mwami's drive now remains harnessing a veiled export market within and outside the region under the African Continental Free Trade Area, a landmark trading agreement which African countries signed in 2018. She also aspires to easily access quality expertise from across the region through the pact.
And another challenge is, I can say, it's the kind of the seeds. There's some of the seeds, we're not getting them here. We have to import them. And also the expert, because to run a big greenhouse like this one, you need somebody who's very much expert of the hydroponic. And I cannot say like I can do it by myself. And our boys and girls from the University College of Agriculture, they are not very much compatible to do it. So we still have to get expatriates from outside, maybe from Nairobi, from Kenya. They are much more advanced on the hydroponic, or even outside the East Africa. Before I didn't sell anything outside for Tanzania. I was selling here inside Tanzania, the local market, because I was not producing much. Yeah, and the local market was sustainable for me, was okay. But now as we go, with this bigger greenhouses which we're gonna have, we have to start to export. Like Kenya, Uganda. So we'll start with East African countries which are very close to us, and with the East African community, the business is much more easier than to start to go to Europe.
To harness the growing demand availed by the continental market, here, farmers are working in cooperatives, and peer mentorship is steadily becoming a norm. The idea is to build a competitive edge.
Mi naitwa Peter Pantaleo Rite. Kazi ya kilimo nimeanza 2004 wakati niko mdogo kidogo, lakini rasmi nimeanza 2018 baada ya kumaliza elimu yangu ya juu.
Since 2004, Peter has devoted his efforts to passing on his skills to peers in the agricultural value chain. Today, he faces a group of over 30 budding agripreneurs, equipping them with hands-on skills in business planning, agricultural production, marketing, and accounting.
Katika nyanja zote za kilimo na ufugaji, kwa sababu ni agribusiness, kilimo biashara. Lakini pia natoa elimu kwa wakulima wengine wadogo kwa ajili ya kuwapa elimu namna uzalishaji wenye tija na kufikia masoko mbalimbali kiwepo ndani ya nchi na ya kimataifa vile vile. Kwa sasa hivi ninafanya sana hapa kwetu Tanzania na nchi za baadhi ya East Africa, mfano Burundi, Kenya na Uganda pamoja na Rwanda. Huwa tuna consult sana watu huko. Tunachokifanya sisi ni kumuongezea mtu elimu juu ya uzalishaji na masoko vile vile. Kwa sababu ili mtu alime kwa ufasaha ni lazima ajue hichi kitu anaenda kumkiuza watu. Kwa sababu mali nyingi hizi ni mbichi. Lazima uwe na connection za masoko na namna kufikia masoko.
But that does not answer it all. The farmers need hand-holding. They need catalytic interventions in form of easy access to finance, among other things.
There are a lot of activities that we need to undertake to ensure that we create a very conducive environment for the operation of the small and medium enterprises. One of them is the capacity building. Some people have the passion to be entrepreneurs, but they do not know what it takes to be an entrepreneur. They have no idea of the importance of keeping books of account, the importance of making monthly tax returns if you are not tax exempt, the importance of ensuring that you subscribe to the labor regulations if you are employing people. Because when you employ people, they need to retire, and you need to provide for their retirement benefits, same for health and so forth. So capacity building in that direction is very, very important. Now, there are also areas where the government needs to come and assist. This is the access to finance. In quite a number of cases, our entrepreneurs find it very, very difficult to access finance because it's very costly. Sometimes as high as 27% or 30%. So we are advocating to governments to really come up with mechanisms to facilitate access to low interest finance and even zero interest finance if they can afford it. That way they have been able to overcome the problems. Then there's also the issue of the need to ensure that small and medium enterprises build networks, because sometimes the market space is very large. On their own, they cannot be able to really meet the demand that is in that market. So when they aggregate, the cluster with the similar enterprises, then in a very collaborative spirit, they would be able to grow together. I always give the example of an exporter of cashew nuts from Tanzania to the USA under AGOA. They came to see me to saying they were looking for partners so that they are able to meet the demand in the USA. Because on their own, they will not be able to meet that demand. I was able to assist them to network and then discussion with their colleagues. So these are some of the issues that we needed to really come up. Human capital development, access to finance, and also patenting. Quite a number of the entrepreneurs complain that they cannot go to the patent office because it's very costly. So the governments and the SMEs really need to sit together on how to ensure that they make it very possible for SMEs who are very innovative to have their ideas patented. Because if you patent your ideas, it's a source of value for the future. You can use it to gain access to finance, because they know that this idea has huge growth potential. But if you have not patented it, somebody take it and they own it, then you are destroyed as an entrepreneur. And for those who are in agribusiness, the governments also needed to really invest in the development of sanitary and phytosanitary standards. Much too often, Africans in the agribusiness do not find it easy to enter markets because their products do not meet minimum sanitary and phytosanitary standards. So there's a lot of room for improvement.
Calls for ease in doing business have been intensified. This corroborates efforts towards scrapping off trade barriers under the African Continental Free Trade Area. It gives local farmers almost limitless markets for their produce. But the question of value and volume still lingers.
Tatizo lililopo ni sera. Sera zilizopo hazimlindi mkulima, kwa sababu kilimo kina vitu viwili. Kuna kitu kinaitwa bumper harvest, yani mmevuna sana au mmepoteza, yani mmevuna kidogo. Sasa kwa mkulima wa nchi hii zote kwake zinamuumiza. Mkivuna sana, soko linakuwa gumu kwa sababu mnagombea soko, linakuwa zile. Lakini kwangu mimi sioni kama ni kitu kibaya sana, ni kwa sababu tu mpangilio wa kilimo ni mbaya. Hatuna usimamizi wa nini kilimwe. Kwa mfano, tulishawahi kutafuta soko Saudia, wakatuuliza mnaweza kutuletea kontena ngapi kwa mwezi? Tukaja tukafanya survey, tukaona kuna mchele mwingi sana nchi hii. Wanakwambia tuletee sample. Unawapelekea sample, wanakwambia tukikupa order ya hii sample uliotuletea, utatuweza kutuletea kontena 5 kila mwezi? Ukizunguka masokoni unajigundua kwamba huna uwezo wa kupeleka kontena 2 ya kitu kile ulichompa mtu, kwa sababu kila mtu analima anachojua yeye. Alafu kuna uchanganyaji wa hizi bidhaa. Mtu amelima mchele unaitwa kula cha mwali, sijui amelima sijui mwingine salo. Wanunuzi wanaponunua wanazichanganya. Wakizichanganya, ile product sio uniform. Na kwa wenzetu soko la nje, watu ambao wako serious na product zao, huwezi kumchanganyia vitu akanunua. Kuna shida kwenye soko la Afrika kwa sababu, kwa mfano, tatoa mfano Kenya wanaingiza mchele kutoka Pakistan ambao ni cheaper kuliko mchele unaolimwa hapa. Sio mzuri kama wa hapa, lakini ni cheaper kwa sababu ya cost ya kuuzalisha ule unit cost ya ile tani moja ya mchele unaotoka nje. Pakistani, India, Thailand iko chini kuliko ya kwetu sisi hapa. Sawa, pamoja na kwamba katika Afrika Mashariki, Tanzania, cost yao ndio iko ndogo kuliko Kenya, kuliko nchi nyingine, lakini bado huwezi kulinganisha na ya nje. Sasa Kenya, kwa nini wanaagiza mchele kutoka Pakistani? Kwa sababu wanawauzia chai. Mkitaka kutuzia chai na sisi tuwauzie mchele. Lakini Tanzania tunazalisha mchele mwingi tu na mzuri, lakini uzuri sio issue. Issue ni gharama ya uzalishaji na huyo unayemuuzia. Sasa soko la watu wanaokula ili washibe ndio linaweza kulishwa na mchele wa Tanzania, lakini watu wanaojua standard za mchele, hatuna mchele wa kuuza, hatuna standard. Tuna ardhi nzuri sana, hali ya hewa nzuri, siku 365, mvua za kunyesha zipo, mabonde yenye maji yapo, hatuna extreme weather. Tujaamua kulima, lakini tukiamua kulima tutailisha Afrika na Europe bila shida.
We need to have a collaborative efforts in to achieve this common goal, because most countries in Africa, they import more than export. And in order to increase your GDP, we need to also to export more of your product outside. And we are rich in agriculture. So if there are some bilateral agreement or some efforts between the individual countries as well as the African as a whole, those efforts can only help well if we ease on tax issues and all this kind of stuff that are discouraging people from exporting. So I believe with a collaborative effort, yes, African countries can play a big role in exporting the agricultural products that are rich in different areas.
In 2021, the first phase of simplified trade under the African Continental Free Trade Area took effect. The idea is to necessitate economic growth through regional integration, deal away with inequalities, and foster inclusive development. And the farmers have started reaping the fruits. The African Continental Free Trade Area instruments are crafted to gradually eliminate tariffs on goods and reduce barriers to trade, elements local farmers have desperately sought for.
Africa's been trading. The only challenge that we have and we've had over the past is that we've been trading in low value products. So we do not add value to our products until we send them outside the continent. They get transformed, and when we buy them very expensive, which actually create imbalance in our balance of payment. So we spend a lot of money importing than we get when we export. And when we trade amongst ourselves, we do not add value to our raw materials for us to produce what we need to consume. We rather sell our unprocessed products, and when we consume, we have to import from outside. So the potential of AfCFTA is to change that narrative. We start adding value to our raw materials. We already have land, we have labor, we can import capital. Then once we have added the value to our products, we'll be able in future, the prospect of AfCFTA is that we can trade at least at 50% in terms of intra-African trade.
And nations are already harnessing the opportunity.
Through the African Continental Free Trade Area, we think our farmers will exchange goods and services with the farmers and the traders across Africa and beyond. So within the African continent, we'll trade freely with our colleagues from Africa, but also as an African region, we'll bound our forces together to trade with the countries beyond the African continent.
The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa projects that implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area will raise intra-African trade by 15 to 25% to about $50 to $70 billion by 2040. And agriculture is placed highly among the key feeders. The food and agriculture sector alone is estimated to grow from $330 billion to $1 trillion by 2030. As it appears a foregone conclusion, the farmer is in the fore, building the Africa we want.